Hello, I'm Michael with Writer Sanctuary, and today we're going to look at how to fill out your Textbroker profile to impress clients. Now, your Textbroker profile plays an integral part in how many clients you attract. It's what gives the results when someone searches for certain criteria. So like if you have experience in WordPress, you want to make sure that you put that in your profile, because a client looking for somebody who knows WordPress will come across your profile. Now, to start to build your profile, you need to go to your account and click on the public profile link. This will show everything that's available to the public eye. And the first thing that you'll come across is the general info tab. This is kind of like your resume for Textbroker. In fact, it's laid out quite similar. Now, the first part of this is to make sure that your profile is always available for clients. Second, you want to add your background experience. Remember, you can't put any contact information in this because of Textbroker's anonymity clause. Now, you don't want to lie on this form because it won't take long for clients to realize that you're full of shit. Like if you say that you've spent the last 4 years developing WordPress, but then when a client asks you for something in WordPress and you can't deliver, they're going to know it. And this could lead to stuff like rejections. And you want to keep your rejection rate as low as humanly possible because this too is also seen by clients. Third, you want to use a nickname that is professional and not controversial. So something like Sir Writes a Lot 69 isn't going to fly very well. Essentially, think of it as a PG-13 nickname. Fourth is that you want to modify your price. Now, you want to be careful because if you set this too high, it's going to scare clients away. But you don't want to shortchange yourself if you have quite a bit of experience. And don't forget that when you get direct orders from specific clients, you can change the price for that one client. Like even though my current rate is 2.9 cents a word, I often charge 5 cents a word for clients that require far more research and more of my time. And a lot of them will pay it, even though I'm a level 4. The last part of the general info tab is displaying how many orders you're capable of writing every week. You want to be as realistic with this as possible, because there's a lot of clients on Textbroker that need somebody that can crack out a lot of content every week. Now, mine is currently set to 20, and I could probably handle a few more, but that depends because there's a few clients that I have that monopolize my time on a daily basis. Well, that's okay. In reality, I should drop this number since I spend so much time with my private clients nowadays. But you don't want to overwhelm yourself with this. If you put 20 and the client hires you because of that, then you need to make sure you can deliver. The next tab is your abilities. And the abilities tab is kind of like the extension of your resume. You need to add your education to any degrees that you've achieved. Second is that you want to include your major or your primary occupation. Mine's set to computer sciences because that's what the majority of my background has been in. The next portion is your industry experience. You want to add in any relevant information regarding the industry for which you want to write. I'm quite eclectic, so my list is kind of long, but you know, it's what I'm interested in. In fact, I probably have to edit it because I kind of like marketing the internet now. I'm quite versatile. But anyway, you need to go through and figure out what you want to write and how well you can write everything, and then add that to this list. Another important part of your profile that clients will take into consideration is the type of articles you wish to write. So you can add in things like in-depth articles if that's your choice. Since I have quite an extensive background, I've put in quite a few. And over the years, I've completed jobs in almost every single category Textbroker has to offer. So the next thing you're going to go to is your writing samples. Writing samples are incredibly valuable to your profile. It gives the client a taste of your skills and abilities. It shows them a little bit of what to expect when they hire you to write. Now in the Textbroker writing samples, you can add up to 3. And there's a few different styles you can write for depending on what your interests are. For example, I have 2 in-depth articles and 1 product description. And those are all based on stuff that I've done in the past. Like the product description is based on a paint additive that I used to sell from the computer center. Well, it was actually computer center's eBay account, but that was years ago. But anyway, when you write a sample, use topics that you are proficient in and that you enjoy. It'll make writing it a lot easier. Here's a few tips on writing your samples. Number 1, stick to what you know. When you stick to topics that you're fluent in and that you know very well, it's a lot easier to write them out. Number 2, don't include anything that's controversial or political. You don't want to alienate your clients. You want to keep it as neutral as possible. Number 3, always check your grammar and spelling. Remember, this is essentially a first impression. You want it to go swimmingly well. There's a lot of platforms out there on the internet that'll help you write better writing samples. For example, you could probably use Grammarly. I personally use WordPress to write content for Textbroker clients. It comes built in with proofreading and SEO tools, and anyway, I did a whole video on that before, so. Number 4 is write something original that is not accessible anywhere else on the internet, even if the content is yours. So, don't copy and paste something off your own blog and put it into your writing sample. It's always best if you come up with something that's an original idea. And number 5, write new samples every 6 months. This is because your skills are undoubtedly going to increase and your interests might change. Keeping the writing samples fresh is important when you're trying to drive direct order clients. You always want to put your best foot forward, which is why I suggest updating these writing samples every 6 months. Of course, you can do this as often as you like, but I find 6 months to be a pretty prime number. An example of a Textbroker writing sample would be something like writing an in-depth article about your favorite food, game, business. Perhaps you bought something from Walmart recently that you kind of want to write a review on. In reality, anything that piques your interest is fair game. Just make sure you're adding quality to it. Think of your writing sample as a real order from a client, because it can make or break you. Now the next thing we want to look at is languages. Textbroker gets clients from all over the world, and clients often have a target audience who don't speak English. And in reality, being multilingual is quite a boon. Make sure you put down every language that you know fluently. And don't forget, you'll have to provide a sample of being able to write in that language. Now the next thing we want to tackle is your interests. Although not every client will peruse what you're interested in, a lot of them do. It's a good way to find out if you're a good fit for their needs. It helps Textbroker clients figure out what you're about. Focus on your primary interests first. For example, mine is a jack of all trades. I am interested in learning anything and I will try anything once. Other interests of mine include stuff like computer networking, WordPress, video games, writing, novelists. But the more you cater your interests to the clients you're trying to attract, the better. And lastly, you want to include anything that includes travel. Some clients will hire you based purely on the places that you've been or that you've had experience in. For instance, I've been to Yellowstone, so if any client wants an article based around Yellowstone, they know where to go. And since Textbroker uses Google Maps, you can put just about anywhere that you've been in the world. Now there's not a lot of clients that'll base their decisions on travel, but it's always good to have it filled out just in case, because you never know. So that's a breakdown of the Textbroker profile that clients will see. A bonus tip I'd like to give you is to complete as many orders as possible. Now the items accepted number on your profile is visible to clients. A lot of clients will like somebody who's done thousands of orders, which is probably why I keep getting added to teams on a daily basis. It doesn't matter if they're 1,000 words or if they're 90 words. Every accepted job goes into that number. And the higher that number, the better you look. The second bonus tip I'd like to share is use a real profile picture. Don't use a logo or some fancy image. Clients on Textbroker don't care if you're a graphic artist. A majority of them want to put a face to the people that are writing their content. And if you do decide to use some kind of fancy graphic, for the love of God, don't put anything that's obscene. Obviously. You want to be professional with it. So let me ask you this. What's your favorite content to write in Textbroker and why? Leave in the comments down below. For me, I started off with computer networking and technology. But then I discovered that I had quite a bit of talent in marketing, business, and just basic internet and WordPress. And I love to write about travel, even though I don't really travel all that much. Like still, one of my favorite articles was writing about Machu Picchu. If you found this video helpful, give it a thumbs up and a like. If you're new here, hit that subscribe button. It helps the channel out. I'm on the road to 1,000. That's going to do it for me today. Have a wonderful weekend and a great Christmas to everybody. I'll see you next week.